Assignment 1. We're going to cover 3 sections. In this lecture, I'm only going to go over the first section. So 1.1, unit analysis, number operations. Okay, so your essential question just for that section consists of 2 questions. What are the subsets of the complex numbers and your second question is, how is unit, or another way that you might hear this, dimensional analysis used to convert between units. In your next lecture, I'll go ahead and give you an essential question for the next 2 units, or next 2 sections. Alright, so let's start with looking at the complex numbers. So I found this graphic that included everything you should already know. You guys should know these subsets of numbers. So really the real numbers and everything that falls underneath the real numbers. Okay? What you don't know yet is about imaginary numbers, and I'm going to go over that with you, just not yet. Okay, but imaginary numbers basically are these numbers that involve i's. And so a complex number looks something like this, where you've taken a real number like 3 and you've added to it something with an imaginary part, this 2i. Okay, don't worry yourself too much about that right now. Just know that complex numbers are made up of real numbers and imaginary numbers. So right now your goal is to really understand what are the real numbers, which make up the complex numbers. So the real numbers are basically numbers that can be put on a number line. Like any of these numbers, we can place these on a number line somewhere. Okay, so let's go down to the bottom here. You can also look at page 3 in your book for more explanations, but real numbers basically can be placed on the real number line. Okay? So then that brings us to, in the real numbers, we have rational numbers and irrational numbers. Rational numbers are numbers that basically they can be written as a fraction, they can be written as a decimal, and if you write them as a decimal, they're either going to terminate or they're going to repeat. Okay, so for example, I can write -5 as a fraction, right? 8/3, well, if I went ahead and changed that into a decimal, I'm probably, well, let's start by making it a mixed number. So 8/3, I'm going to do that over here. 8/3 is really 2 2/3. Well, and if you take 2/3 and you divide it, if you don't remember doing this before, if you take 2 and you divide it by 3, you get this repeating 0.66666. Well, 0.66666 repeating is a rational number because it is repeating. So this would be, we'd say it's approximately 2.66, and because the 6's are repeating, we can put a little bar over the 6. Okay, but that's a rational number. So if we come down to the bottom, rational numbers can be written as a fraction or a decimal, and they either terminate or they repeat. Alright, so let's do some unit analysis. We'll start out really easy from section 1.1, example 6. We are going to convert 66 feet per second to miles per hour. Now when I do unit analysis or dimensional analysis, I like to use my fractions. Let me show you why. If I have a fraction such as a over b, and I multiply that by something such as b over c, well, I can do this a couple of ways, and I highly recommend that you guys start reducing before multiplying straight across. You can multiply straight across and then reduce, but it's really helpful to see, hey, what are my common factors? In the numerator and denominator, I see that I have a common factor of b. So I can divide top and bottom by b, and by doing that, I haven't changed anything. Dividing top and bottom by the same thing is like dividing by 1. So I've just divided out the b's because they are a common factor, and I am just left with a over c. This becomes really helpful when you are working with dimensions or with different units, and you basically want to get rid of one type of unit to get up into your different type of a unit. Let me show you with this example. So I have 66 feet per second. So I'm going to write feet per second as a fraction. Right? This is feet per 1 second. And in the very, very end, I am expected to end up with miles per hour. So my goal is going to be to multiply this fraction by other fractions where my units will reduce out. So for example, I want to get rid of seconds. I want to end up with hours. I have to get rid of that second unit. So I know that there are 60 seconds per 1 minute. Now I have gotten rid of the seconds because seconds in top and bottom reduce. No more seconds. I don't want to be left with minute though. I want to be left with hours. So I also know that there are 60 minutes per 1 hour. See how now those minutes are gone? They reduced out because I put whatever I didn't want and whatever I wanted to cancel out, I put it either in the numerator if what I was trying to cancel out was in the denominator, or vice versa. So now I don't want feet. I don't want to be left with feet. I want to be left with miles. So when I write myself a fraction, where should feet go? Yes, it should go in the bottom, in the denominator, because see how now these feet will reduce out. Well, the question is, how many miles equal how many feet? So if you don't know that, not a big deal, but you can always look that up on Google. There are 5,280 feet per 1 mile. And so you can see the only units I'm left with on top are going to be miles, and on the bottom are going to be hours. And now I just have to do the math. I actually have to multiply 66 times 60 times 60, get that number, and then divide it by, in the denominator, it looks like I'm just going to have 5,280. So let's see. I've got 66 times 60 times 60. And I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 5,280. And I am left with 45 miles per hour. All right, so let's make this a little bit more challenging. You get to go to Thailand. I've been to Thailand. It's a pretty awesome country. And I brought some Thai baht, which is the currency that is used in Thailand. So here's 100 baht. Here's a 50 baht. Oh, and here's a 20 baht. That's pretty much all I have. I didn't exchange these when I got back to the U.S. I thought I'd just keep them kind of as souvenirs. And the money, the U.S. dollar goes pretty far when you get to Thailand, so I wasn't really too worried about 170 baht. You'll see that's not going to be worth very much. So you have decided that you're going to exchange $500 for Thai baht. And our current exchange rate, which I looked up a few days ago, is basically about 3 cents per 1 baht, or 0.029 US dollars per 1 baht. Now, when you go to the bank to exchange money, they don't do anything for free. They're going to charge you, so you're going to have a 1% fee that you're going to need to pay on however much you're exchanging. So starting with A, how much money should you take to the bank if you don't want to use part of the $500 to pay the exchange fee? So basically, you need to figure out what is your exchange fee, so the money that you're going to pay the bank to actually make this exchange. And we said that it was going to be 1% of your total amount. So you need to know what 1% of that $500 is. Hopefully at this point in your math career, you know that you should not do any math with a percent. You need to convert it. Okay, and so to go from a percent to a decimal, we basically move our decimal 2 places left. So you're really working with the number 0.01 or 1/100. Of is the same thing as multiplying. I'm going to use parentheses to show my multiplication of $500. Now, you can get out your calculator, but you don't need to. Think of this decimal place as being gone. So just think of multiplying 1 times 500. What's that going to be? That's correct. That's going to be 500. But I have to account for those 2 decimal places. So if my decimal's here, I'm going to go back 2 spaces, and I end up with basically $5. There's a $5 fee. So how much money, if I want to exchange all my $500 and I want to pay the exchange fee, how much money total should I bring with me to the bank? I should bring a total of $505 to the bank. All right, so now let's do some conversions. So how much will you receive in baht? So I'm going to start with $500. I'll use US dollar, USD. And I'm going to want that to end up in Thai baht. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to do exactly like I did with example 6 above. I'm going to start out 500 US dollars over 1. That's my fraction. I don't want US dollars in my final answer. So when I multiply by another fraction, where can I put US dollars so that it basically reduces out with this US dollar? That's right, I can put it in the bottom. So that means that any baht is going to go up top. So let's see what our actual exchange rate is. Going back up to here, I know that I have 1 baht. So 1 baht per 0.029 US dollars. The US dollars reduce out, no more US dollars. And basically this just becomes a calculator problem, because when I multiply straight across, I'm going to get 500. And down here I'm going to have 0.029. So it's 500 divided by 0.029. And I end up with 17,241. Let's see here. I might need to erase this. It's going to be a little larger. 17,241 point, how about 38 baht. And then for C, you come back to the US, you have 1,270 baht left. How much will that be in US dollars? So this time we're going to say you brought some other money with you to pay the exchange fee. Don't worry about that. Basically, how much US dollars will you get for this 1,270 baht? So I'm going to do basically exactly what I did here, except for now I'm going to start with 1,270 baht. Now, I need to end up with US dollars. So when I multiply this fraction here by another fraction, where should the baht go? In order to let it reduce, we need baht on the bottom. And again, 1 baht is going to be the same as 0.029 US dollars. The bahts reduce. And then I just need to do the calculation on my calculator. and I got $36.83. Okay, that's all for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.